everybody experiences traumatic events, and some of us even have to go through life-threatening events. When you are faced with a life-threatening event, you have a response that's called the fight or flight, which means that you either are going to fight for your life or run. So people that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, that fight or flight response becomes damaged and they don't react to those events the same way as another person would. The National Institute of Mental Health estimates that 7.7 million Americans suffer from PTSD now. June is PTSD Awareness Month, and the VA is really promoting becoming more aware of PTSD and the signs and the symptoms and causes and what can be done to help people suffering from it. And one of the things that they're really promoting is a 3-step learning about PTSD and learning about it and what people are going through when they're suffering it, so that you can be more aware what to, how to respond to them and how to recognize the symptoms. Connecting, which is promoting awareness to other people about what you've learned. And then just sharing, giving support to people who are suffering from it, helping them, and also sharing your knowledge with others. According to Butcher Hooley Manika's book on abnormal psychology, people that suffer from PTSD usually have either gone through, witnessed, or somebody that they know, a loved one, has went through a life-threatening event that's outside the range of what's considered a normal experience. People suffering from PTSD usually suffer from intense fear and helplessness and just terror and horror from certain events that remind them of whatever happened. According to Psych Central, most people that suffer a traumatic event do not develop PTSD. A lot of people think that they do, but only about 10% of people that have a general trauma will actually develop PTSD. When it's an intentional trauma, that number goes up a little higher. It's about 37% of people that develop it, but this is going to be something like murder or rape, something where somebody intentionally caused you harm or put your life in threatened your life, and that will bring that number way up. The New York Times just did an article due to the Awareness Month, and they said that right now that there's been an increased level of PTSD among service members. They claim that in 2004 that it was about 1% of service members that were suffering from it. Now in 2012 that number is up 5%. So that's a pretty big increase. They believe now that there's biological causes that make a person more susceptible to developing PTSD. One of those is stamin, which is a protein that helps you develop fear memories. And so they've actually done some tests, and if that level's low, your reaction to something that should cause fear is lower. So people that have high levels of stamina have a stronger reaction to a life-threatening event, and that can trigger the PTSD. And then gastrin-releasing peptide, which is a GRP, it's a chemical that controls your fear response. And so people that have low levels actually have a stronger reaction to fear. So they believe that those two things, if they can check those levels, they can kind of determine people who are more susceptible to developing PTSD. The symptoms for PTSD, there's 3 types of symptoms. The first one is re-experiencing, which is bad dreams, flashbacks, stuff of that nature. The second kind is avoidance, which is just avoiding situations that cause that fear to come back to them, whether it's a crowded situation, riding in a car, whatever it is, being in a tunnel for some people, just whatever it is, they avoid those situations. And then the other one's hyperarousal, which is tension, angry outbursts, insomnia. So to be diagnosed with PTSD, you have to have 1 symptom from re-experiencing, 3 symptoms of avoidance, and 2 of the hyperarousal in a 1-month period before they will diagnose you with PTSD. Right now for treatment, they're doing a lot of psychotherapy, which is Um, really having a lot of luck with cognitive behavior therapy and medication. But while treatment is really great, one of the things they've realized is that there's things that they can do to help prevent PTSD from developing in the first place. And that's just doing like a psychological debriefing after the event that happened, and providing crisis intervention and having hotlines available to people who could be suffering from PTSD. So they really feel like people being aware, noticing what's going on, helping people out, helping them find the help they need before it develops full-blown PTSD can actually be more effective than having to go through the treatment after it's already manifested. So just, and going back through, just with it being Awareness Month, become more aware of the people around you. If you go to the VA website, you can find some more information on it, and they can also tell you places you can go, and you can actually meet people that are suffering from PTSD and talk to them and get to know them and help them as well as help you begin more understanding and learn how to spot it and help friends if you notice anybody suffering